Where are you struggling for status? One of my favorite status stories didn't make it into the final version of the book. It's the story of the late Ben Barres, a professor of neurobiology at Stanford University. Ben transitioned from female to male in 1997, 4 years after he joined the Stanford faculty. Undergrad from MIT, MD from Dartmouth, PhD from Harvard. Ben's credentials were beyond compare. However, because he had worked while perceived as both a man and a woman, he was able to observe and recount how his status increased after his transition, especially among those who were unaware of it. When perceived as a woman, Ben experienced the devaluing of his contributions in multiple ways. For example, he once wrote, "As an undergrad at MIT, I was the only person in a large class of nearly all men to solve a hard math problem, only to be told by the professor that my boyfriend must have solved it for me. I was not given any credit. I'm still disappointed about the prestigious fellowship competition I later lost to a male contemporary when I was a PhD student, even though the Harvard dean who had read both applications assured me that my application was much stronger. I had published 6 high-impact papers, whereas my male competitor had published only 1. These same contributions were held in higher regard after his transition. After giving his first presentation when perceived as a man, a person in the audience was overheard saying, "Ben Barres gave a great seminar today, but then his work is much better than his sister's." The sister, of course, was Ben himself, a reference to his earlier research. Ben's intellect and credentials remained the same, but when his perceived gender changed, his status increased almost overnight. He recounted, "By far, the main difference I have noticed is that people treat me with much more respect. I can even complete a whole sentence without being interrupted by a man." I love Ben's story because it shows us how significantly gender can impact status, even when we are highly accomplished. So what are your experiences with gender and status? Are there stories in your past that stand out to you where you felt undervalued because of your gender or another characteristic? And is there a current relationship where you feel undervalued or disrespected? If so, what could you do at this point to improve your status with that person? And if you could rewind the relationship and start over, is there anything you wish you would have done differently that might have improved how they perceive you? Now, to be clear, acknowledging that you could have tried something different does not mean that the current situation is your fault. It's not. But analyzing how we got to this point often gives us the best ideas for different plays that we can try in the future. So where in the past have you felt undervalued? What could you do to improve a current relationship where you lack status? And if you had to do it over, what might you have done differently to improve how they perceive you?